Hey, my dear friends, Gypsy Spirit here with you, giving you some relationship advice. I hear all the time about these online romances. People meet each other through the internet, maybe through a dating site or something, even through Facebook or whatever. And and I get these older women even, they'll call me and they want to know if they're ever going to meet this so and so that they've been talking to. And I don't, I dig. I'll dig and ask questions. And I'll say, well, how long y'all been talking on the internet? Well, some women, they've been talking for 4 or 5 years, and they want to know if they're ever going to meet this guy because the guy is promising that he's coming to see them, and all this crazy stuff. And there's two things going on with that sort of stuff. And so when I find out that they've been talking for several months, I'm like, well, how far away does he live from you? Now, let me tell you something. If you're talking to somebody online and they live within your vicinity, and they're talking to you for an extended amount of time, then they're hiding something. They either got a wife, girlfriend, or both, you know. But they're going to keep talking because it boosts their egos to talk to you. I'll tell you a story. I used to live in this apartment, and a few doors down from me was this gentleman. His name was Raymond. And Raymond was my friend, and he would come and visit me. Well, in the meantime, I started talking to this guy that was about 3 hours away from me. I met him through Facebook. His name was Vernon. And Vernon and I started talking through Facebook chat. So we would send each other messages through Facebook. And, and he was talking about coming to visit me and everything. And one day Raymond came to visit me. And I showed him a picture of Vernon. And I told him about us, how we had been talking and everything. And Raymond said, oh, he'll be down here this weekend to see you. I said, yeah, I hope so. I can't wait. Well, 3 or 4 weeks go by. And one day Raymond was over at my place, and I had this wicker chair, and it had a lot of crystals all around it. And Raymond liked to sit in that chair with all the crystals around it. It made him feel good. So he comes and he sits down in the chair, and somehow we started talking about Vernon. And he said, he said something about me meeting him. And I said, well, no, I haven't met him yet. He said, well, but you're talking to him on the telephone. I said, no, I'm not talking to him on the telephone. He said, wait a minute. You've been talking to him for almost 2 months, about a little over a month, and you've never met him, and you've never talked to him on the telephone. So y'all are just texting back and forth? I said, yeah. And this was at the beginning of my spiritual journey. So he said, well, Lisa, he's either got a girlfriend or a wife or both. I said, oh, no. Not this guy. Any other guy, I would believe that. Not this guy, because this guy is on a spiritual journey too, and he's not all about that. He said, Lisa, he's either got a girlfriend, a wife, or both. And I started getting mad with him for telling me that. I was getting mad. I didn't want to hear it. And so, we dropped the conversation and, went on. Well, about a week later, I noticed this girl sent me a friend request on Facebook. Her name was Scarlett. And I saw where she and Vernon were friends. And so I accepted her Facebook request to be my friend. And she posted on there, she said, thank you for accepting my friend requests, and I've heard so much about you from Vernon. And I'm thinking, I'm starting to get like the giddy high school girl thing going on. I'm like, oh, he's talking about me. Ooh, what's he saying? So I texted her through Facebook chat. I said, Vernon's talking about me. What is he saying about me? And she said, oh, nothing. He, not really anything big. He listens to your show, because I had a radio show. It was called Awakenings. And, he talks about some of the things that you say on your show. And he's, he's learned a lot, it's helped him spiritually grow. And then she said, well, we're dating, right? Bombshell. And then she says, yeah, we're dating, and he's married. So I called her. I wanted to talk to her. So we had a long talk, and she told me that he was married, but that the story is that he and his wife, they live like in separate rooms. Everything is separate, and he works at this plant where he would get off at midnight, and this is on a Sunday night. And she said, well, I tell you what, he's going to be here at 12:30. Why don't you call me back at 12:30, and I will put you on speakerphone? And I did. I called her back about 12:30. And I also have to tell you that my friend Raymond, since I was on this spiritual journey, this newfound journey, I had completely quit drinking. I wasn't drinking any alcohol. And so anyway, so I did. I called her at 12:30, and she put him on speakerphone. And we pretty much backed him into a corner. They broke up that night. So it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I knew that Raymond was up. So I went down to his apartment, banging on the door. And he opened the door. And I said, you got a beer? He was like, yeah, come. And I'm frantic. And I'm completely freaking out. And he's like, well, come on in. I said, no, I need a beer. I need a beer right now. I need a beer. He's like, okay, I'm getting you a beer. I'm getting it. Have a seat, And I said, no, I can't sit down. I have to have a beer right now. And he finally got me a beer, and he said, well, what's going on? What's got you, your feathers up in a dander here? I said, remember Vernon, the guy up in Greenville? He said, yeah. He we talked about him coming to see you, but you hadn't talked to him or anything. I said, yeah. He's got a wife and a girlfriend. And he said, well, Lisa, I tried to tell you that. And I just couldn't believe it. I was stunned. So, and I learned shortly after that if I'm talking to somebody on the internet, which I don't do internet dating or internet, I don't do that anymore. But if you're talking to somebody on the internet and y'all haven't met, like physically met within 2 weeks, something's wrong. Because if they really want to meet you, then they're going to meet you. They're going to make a point to meet you. Now, if you start seeing them, they meet you when you start seeing them on a regular basis, and they don't invite you to their home, and they only see you at certain times, that might be a red flag for you to look into. We'll talk about that later. Anyway, I hope you learned something from this. Now, remember, always try to make good decisions, because your decisions not just impact you, but they impact other people too. Till next time.